Bungie's dropped the Vidoc for the Witch Queen, and with it we got a crap ton of details about weapon crafting as well as Void 3.0. And I just want to say right now, I was right. Gosh darn it. Yeah, that's right. I'm calling it. I was right. Y'all was wrong. I'm joking. But anyways, guys, let's get into the details and actually break down some of the stuff that we saw, because we got a lot of interesting stuff to go over. Starting with weapon crafting. Now, with the Witch Queen and Season of the Risen, we will be getting introduced to the weapon crafting system, which basically will allow us to craft weapons from the ground up. We're not just picking the weapon itself, we are picking the frame, we're picking all the perks involved, we're picking the masterwork. But the interesting thing about the perks, we will have enhanced versions of these perks. Now, I'm really curious to see what things like Feeding Frenzy or even things like Rampage can do with the enhanced version. Like, could you imagine if Rampage actually gave us 50% damage bonus instead of what it gives us now? That would be absolutely insane. And honestly, I actually kind of like this. This makes a lot of sense as to why they nerf things like ability cooldown, because with these enhanced perks, we have enhanced Wellspring now, which is probably going to give us a pretty decent bump in our ability regeneration. Now, we did get a look at an exotic being crafted very briefly, but the important thing about crafting in general is the crafting materials will not be tied to our inventory, so we don't have to worry about filling up our inventory with materials or maxing out on materials and then having to use them. I'm guessing they will just be stored in the table through like space magic, obviously. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got in terms of weapon crafting. Now, a couple things to note. We have a glimpse at what possibly might be the Trials origin trait, which you can see here. We don't know if this is it or not, but we also know that we are getting another origin trait called Land Tank, which gives increased resilience and damage resistance on final blows. This actually sounds like a really good perk for the new glaives coming out, as those will be a pretty close range weapon in most cases. But the thing that I'm most curious about is this deep sight resonance mechanic, right? Now, I know in the TWAB, they said that if it has the deep sight resonance, you can take a perk from that weapon and use it in your future crafting. The thing is, on that screen that they show us, the deep sight resonance like slot, those two options are not the same as the perks themselves. So I'm wondering if those are maybe different types of objectives you can do to get the perk, or if those are something completely different altogether. Now, another small or possibly big detail with weapon crafting, on the actual crafted weapon itself, there is a slot next to the weapon's level, and I'm not sure what that is, but if anyone does know, definitely put that in the comments. I'd love to know what that could be if they even release information about it. Now, for the thing that I'm most excited about in the expansion as a build crafter in this game is Void 3.0. It looks amazing. We've only been shown glimpses of it and it looks absolutely bonkers. So in the Vidoc today, most of the stuff that they've been showing off has been Warlock based. Honestly, starting to wonder if there are any Hunters or Titans working at Bungie these days. But we did get a look at the Child of Old Gods aspect in action. He kind of, aimed at the enemies. It actually floated over and not siphoned from one, but multiple enemies. Now, I'm wondering if you'll get more energy if, say, you try to absorb from a major or even a boss, if it does damage comparable to the stasis turret, or if it does enough to maybe get the kill on something like a Shank or a Dreg. But obviously, we'll have to test that when it comes out. We do get a glimpse at the shadow dive that the hunters are going to be getting. This is actually really interesting to me because it looks like we are going to be using our smoke bomb as like a ground pound in a way, which might actually be really good with something like Omnioculus or even Kepri's Sting. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. Kepri's Sting might be really good with that. Like, could you imagine maybe in like PvP getting a slam attack with Kepri's Sting, doing that extra damage on top of the slam damage itself? Oh man, yo, Kepri's might have just got buffed. Another thing we get to see is the new Titan melee shield toss, which bounces quite a bit. I didn't think it would bounce that much, but it has quite a bit of bounce to it. It bounced off of think what, like 3 enemies, then the wall, then bounced off like another 2. So this brings me to the last thing that we were shown. We actually got a glimpse of some of the aspects and fragments involved with Void 3.0, one of which being a melee based one called Echo of Exchange, which gives you grenade energy on melee kills. Now this with the Titan melee would be really good because that melee is a ranged melee that hits multiple targets, which means you are now getting multiple kills, and that melee actually gives you overshield as it hits those targets. So now you're getting grenade energy and overshield with each melee kill. Another thing I noticed about the fragments in the Void subclass is they're called echoes, and in Stasis we have whispers. So with Solar, I'm thinking we may get roars as the fragments in that one, and maybe for Arc, chants, which would be really interesting. But yeah, that's just, you know, me speculating on future stuff. The next 2 fragments that were shown are very interesting because of what they mean for fragments as a whole for Void 3.0. We have Echo of Remnants, which states that your lingering grenade effects have increased duration, and Echo of Reprisal, where final blow while you're surrounded grants super ability energy. Now, if these sound familiar, it is because they are already in the game. Echo of Remnants is actually just an improved version of the Hunter's Lockdown, and Echo of Reprisal is an improved version of In the Trenches, which is a Sentinel-based ability. This does confirm that, like in our last Void 3.0 video, yes, abilities from our current subclasses will be converted to the Fragments portion of Void 3.0. Does this confirm that Hunters and Titans will have access to Devour? Not exactly, but we do see a Warlock gain invisibility upon performing a finisher. Now, another thing that was confirmed today is that actually grenades will now be shared across classes. You can see that the Warlock actually has access to all 7 grenades in the game. That's a lot of choices, which means that now you can have a Warlock running suppressor grenades, or even a Hunter wearing Axiom grenades. Now, another thing that we got to see in the Vidoc today was a couple of aspects, right? Chaos Accelerant is not the same as it was before. If you remember before, Chaos Accelerant just kind of overcharged the grenade. It was a flat thing, did the same thing for all the grenades. Now it actually interacts with the type of grenade you have equipped. For instance, Vortex have increased size and linger duration, and Axiom Bolts actually create an additional seeker, right? But they added on magnetic grenades. Remember, magnetic grenades are originally a Titan specific grenade, but now you can use Chaos Accelerant to release a short range Void Blast with that grenade. Now, what's interesting about this is with Chaos Accelerant, you don't have access to all the grenades. So maybe something like Handheld Supernova won't have access to all the grenades either. Meaning that if they don't have scatter grenades as an option for Handheld Supernova, things like Nothing Manacles won't give you 2 Handheld Supernovas, meaning that a lot of our exotics will now either be buffed or nerfed or even work completely differently with these changes. So those are the 2 aspects that we got to see. Now, we don't see the 3rd aspect, but we know it is called Feed the Void, and this is basically Devour, where Void ability kills will restore health with each subsequent kill. Now, another thing to note about Void 3.0, all of the grenades won't be available on launch. It was actually stated that we would have to go to Ikora to get the other classes' grenades. So the 3 that we have now on each class will be available at launch, but if we want our magnetic and suppressor grenade on the Warlock subclass, we would have to go to Ikora to actually get those and, you know, be able to equip them on the Warlock subclass, which may mean that there might be more aspects than just the 4 possibly. Hopefully we get more details about that in the upcoming TWAB, which I will cover if it is relevant to the, you know, content that I do over here. I don't really do TWAB stuff. I usually try to leave that to the other channels like, you know, Cross, Cactus, and Houndish. But yeah, if it actually pertains to the stuff that I've been covering leading up to the Witch Queen, I will definitely have video for it on this channel. But that is it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. I actually do build videos more than anything on this channel, and with Void 3.0 coming out, we're going to be doing something very, very cool in terms of builds. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.